So this is weirdly amusing, isn't it? I don't know why Andrew Yang is going to have a debate with Ben Shapiro over circumcision, but it's surely going to produce some funny, out of context clips, isn't it? Where they're talking about the ins and outs of circumcision. Now, I personally am not pro circumcision, but I'm not like some crusader to ban it. I think it is pretty barbaric and archaic. And I do think that it'll go. So I don't actually know what Ben Shapiro's stance on circumcision is. I presume it's for, and I presume it's for religious reasons because he's a religious Jew. And so he'll say something like, this is our religious liberty, it's an ancient tradition that goes back, and we have the right under the Constitution to practice our religion. And then Andrew Yang will say something like, well, that's all well and good, but you don't have the liberty to infringe on the human rights or the bodily integrity of an infant. You are using your religion to give you license to do it. And that's something that we disagree on and I think should be stopped. Although apparently he's actually not calling for the banning of it. But he's going to challenge it on the grounds. He should challenge it on the moral grounds. He'll argue that it's a suppression of his culture. And Yang's going to argue that it doesn't really have any medical benefits. I mean, that's a strong argument as well, to be honest. It doesn't. Most of the world isn't actually circumcised, and everyone's penises are just fine as far as I'm aware. You know, like, it's actually really not as hard to wash yourself as you might think. So there are other benefits too, apparently, potentially from like HIV and stuff like this, or, you know, whatever. I don't really care about the argument. I'm just, you know, it's just really funny to me that this is actually going to be two guys talking about the dicks. And the thing is, right, I'm sympathetic to the MRAs who want to have this discussion. So I feel like a dick kind of mocking it, because it actually is something that probably needs to be talked about. Because, you know, every year there are kids who go through botched circumcisions and effectively lose their dicks. So it's like, if you grew up just not having a dick because some guy tried to circumcise you and fucked it up when you were a baby, man, that's rough. You know what I mean? That's really fucking rough. So I don't want to be a dick about it, but like, it is legit funny that this is going to be a debate. Anyway, I'm looking forward to watching this. Maybe I'm reading the way they're presenting themselves wrong, and maybe they'll argue from different corners. But I just find it really, really strange that this is coming up now as well. Like, is this going to be part of Yang's 2020 platform? End circumcision. That'd be... I mean, like I said, he's not calling for a ban, but that would be funny, wouldn't it? Like, Andrew Yang can end up being like the fringe meme candidate. He literally represents every fringe opinion against whatever the mainstream version of that is at all times. He'd just be the avatar of the internet. I'm starting to kind of get behind it now. But no. The God Emperor is still doing great, actually. He started to be paying more attention to what's happening with social media, presumably because of what Don Jr. keeps tweeting about. He's been on it, and apparently Trump's at least aware of it now. So the God Emperor's great eyes are now upon the things that we've been labouring against. So hopefully he actually does do something. And the thing is, at least hopefully he has some kind of influence on the conversation and makes one of the points that the media essentially can't just ignore. You know, because that's the problem. They can just ignore everyone else's goddamn arguments. And so it's just like, God damn it, you know? Just start engaging with what people are trying to actually talk to you about. I mean, like, I saw a part of a press conference, and I'm going to do a video on this tomorrow, I think, about Bolsonaro and Trump's conversation, like joint speeches at the White House. I haven't watched the full thing yet, but I've seen clips from it. And Bolsonaro actually does call out gender ideology, and he's obviously talking about intersectionality. It's really interesting how this is actually something that's prominent in what... But I mean, I've heard Bolsonaro mention this quite a few times now. He's woke, utterly woke on the radical left and what they're trying to do with gender. And it's interesting how these things are becoming major sort of stumbling blocks for the academics pushing what effectively is a new religion on the rest of society. And the hate speech laws and things like that in my country are getting out of control. They are actually completely nuts at this point. And like, for example, today or yesterday, I think it was, a Catholic journalist was like contacted by the police after a complaint was made because of an interaction with a trans person. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I think it was misgendering, but I heard it was something else as well. But it was something specifically to do with them being trans and this being some kind of hate crime. And the woman was like, well, this is my religious belief. So all of these things, I mean, like, intersectionality is coming into conflict with religions along religious grounds. So I think it's fair to describe it as a religion, or at least like that's an aspect of it. It operates as the kind of like worldview that these sort of philosophies, or, you know, again, just like worldviews, it's a separate and discrete one of those that interacts with other sort of religious worldviews in the same plane, and they come into conflict there. So this is honestly just why people describe social justice as a religion, because it really sort of fucking seems to be. But anyway, got off a bit off topic there, because this is nothing to actually do with social justice. This is a conversation that the MRAs have been dying to have for a long time. And so I'm really going to be interested in what Ben Shapiro is going to say about it, because honestly, if he's just going to appeal to his religion, unfortunately, the answer is always, well, I'm not religious, so I don't agree with you on the grounds that none of your original sort of axioms, God exists and created the world. No, I don't agree God exists. And you can't make me agree, and I don't want to have to get into that argument. So let's agree that we're going to take the secular framework rather than the religious framework, because then we don't have to change frameworks for every single religion that we come across. So really, I think Ben Shapiro is going to lose this one. Good luck on this one, Andrew Yang.